What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Atlantic Files, the number one podcast in the number one division in the NBA, brought to you by the Underdog Sports Podcast Network. As always, joined by your hosts, myself, Alex Fishbein, and we got Dennis Big Sexy Clausen. What's going on, Dennis?
Jesus Christ.
Had a lot to clear there.
Holy shit. Hey, how are you?
By the way, you like my name change?
I did. What inspired that?
It's actually that's my Peloton name too.
Oh, is it? Next week I'll put my Peloton name on there.
Is it going to be blank?
Yeah, right it is. I don't do that stupid shit.
My favorite thing still is the fact that Mike told me to add him on Peloton because Katie got one. And I added him. He never added me back. And I go to look. He's never used the thing.
I mean, does he look like he uses it?
No, not at all. That's why when he said it, I was like, "Oh shit, you do Peloton? Like you actually ride the bike?" And then when I looked, I was like, "No, you don't."
No way in hell he rides the bike. Part of the appearance today, no gel on the hair.
No haircut this time, or it is cut.
I'm holding no gel. I'm holding off for a couple more days because I'm trying to, fill in the beard at a couple places. So sometimes to be beautiful, you got to go through a little transformation.
I mean, that's very true. That's very true. I see what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, excuse me. I'm definitely gonna need a haircut soon because mine's been growing out a little straggly now. That's the thing. When my hair grows out, it's usually the beard that just gets bushy, and then up here just looks all straggly. It's just like
then you start getting gray.
Not yet. I mean, I found some like really blonde ones, and I was worried for a second. I was like, oh, gray's coming in, but then upon closer inspection, I was like, oh, we're good. It's just blonde. We're good.
Well, what is gray here, or white, whatever fucking color it is? I used to get red in my beard.
Red?
It was a bright red. It was really weird. So now everything that used to be red is just fucking gray or white.
That's annoying.
And now what's weird too is that as I get older, I'm getting hair in weird places like my ear.
Oh yeah.
I found like a piece of hair, and I go, what the? Like your nose starts growing hair, you start getting back hair, and I'm like, why? Why does this happen?
See, all the hair that I lost up here went everywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
So I've had really bad back hair for years now, and that's the back hair for me started when I was like 21, which was awful. So I definitely understand that struggle.
Well, what are you? You're half Jew and then half what?
Well, so my dad's Hungarian Jew. And
the Hungarians are some hairy people.
True. They also give me my tanning side. Like my dad and I get super tan, but my mom and my brother just burn. Because my mom's side is more like Polish, German, Irish type of thing.
Gotcha. So, I'm married to an Arab, so
true.
I know all about the tanning and the skin and all that stuff.
I mean, I'm marrying an Italian, so she's got all that too. Her dad, her dad just goes from like normal skin tone to then just like burnt.
What's his name? Like John or something?
Like toasted.
You said his name was like John. It's not John. Like an Italian. I still don't get that.
But it's John Paul.
Yeah, I still don't get that.
That would be funny if his name was like Vinny.
It needs to be Vinny.
I mean, I think I said this before. His brother's name is Mario. Nice,
So
nice
you
Italian.
say Mario, but then I would say like Mario.
Well, so I say Mario because I've heard them say it that way. So I'm
Right.
like, I've been saying Mario for the video game since I was a kid. So I
Right.
was the whole time I was like, was I saying it wrong? Is it un-Italian to say Mario instead of Mario?
But is it supposed to be Mario and people are saying Mario because of an accent?
That's a good question. I don't know.
It's like my sister is Patricia.
Okay.
I call her Patricia, and then
Mm-hmm.
everybody says Patricia. I'm like, that's not her
Uh,
fucking name, but to them they might think, yeah, who cares? We're bored. Everybody's sleeping because we're sitting here talking about names.
I
Like
know.
anybody gives a shit.
Not talking about our normal fun openings this
Yeah.
time. But
If you
anyway.
want, we can talk about the end of the year Hub Awards and the.
Oh god.
If you want to do that, we can talk about the increase in viewership in certain categories.
Oh god. I
Stepmom taking a huge leap this year.
That would have been a great topic if we got Doc Rivers as a guest.
Yeah, well, he knows.
Exactly.
He
Doc Rivers
knows.
knows all the top categories.
Yeah, but he's just like everybody else, though. He knows, and so does every other guy on the planet. No,
I
they.
mean,
But you know what's
very
surprising
true.
to me though is that a lot of women are watching it.
That's true, which is very interesting to me. Like, where does that come from on their side of things?
Well, I think a big category for women is women. Know what I mean?
Right.
So
Right.
that's like a huge thing, and then they break it down by like each state. So like one state is into. I let's not do this because I.
I was about to say, I was like, it sounds like you know a lot about this.
Well, it was interesting because I was reading it,
Uh huh.
and I wasn't reading it on the site,
Right.
even though I
Right.
don't do that stuff. You know what I
Of
mean?
course not.
But they actually released an article, and it's very analytical. They break it down by country, what people are watching, what type of device people are using. So each category that each state is into the most, which is super weird.
I'm just
Um,
curious how this reporter got the job from like the editor to be like, I want you to go write an article about the top watched porn categories for each country, state, and boil it down to devices and everything.
well, they compile the data based on your computer guy. I'm not, but they compile the data,
Oh yeah,
and then from there they all bring it. Like literally, they know what people are watching in each state. They know what's like there's categories that are on the upswing.
right.
It's absolutely crazy.
Oh yeah, like I know it compiles all the data and everything, but I'm just like, for the people to write an article, like was it by the site but just not on the site, or was it by like a third party news?
No, I think it's by the site they released
Okay,
it.
all right, all
So they
right.
give like a state of the union of porn. So I think like a top category in Texas for guys was like panties.
That's
Anything
all. That's all
involved?
the search was. Panties.
Yeah, they look up panties, and then stepmom has been huge for years, which is is gaining a lot more momentum. So yeah,
Texas, a bunch of weirdos. Like you can see that anywhere.
but I think it's more involved than just a straight up.
I
You
would
know what I
hope
mean?
so.
I
Anyway.
mean, I can elaborate if you want, but I
No,
don't
we
know
should.
what I don't know what that has to do with Joel Embiid or anything like that. But I'm sure we could tie it in some way.
I was gonna say we probably should start talking about some basketball now.
Yeah, I guess.
So first things first, let's talk about it. Kevin
Uh
Durant
huh.
sprained his MCL to be
Wonder what he
reevaluated.
watches.
He's got a lot of time on his hands now,
No, yeah, now he does.
both literally and figuratively.
Right.
Um, So he sprained his MCL.
No, he's
He'll be
6'10".
reevaluated in a couple weeks. This was the same injury that he had prior, and he had to miss 6 weeks. Now, the reports are saying it's not as severe as it was before, and he shouldn't have to miss that much time. But he still has to be reevaluated after a couple of weeks, so we'll at least see him miss 2 weeks.
So
What are
where
your
are we
thoughts?
now? What date are we at?
We are at January 10th, so it'll be around the end of January.
He won't be back until around the All-Star game.
Okay.
That's my guess. Because if the Nets keep winning,
Mm-hmm.
which outside of Durant, that they really don't have anybody else who's injured. They get guys who get load managed like Seth Curry or Joe Harris, and but fortunately, if Kyrie stays healthy, Kyrie is more than capable of carrying an offense. I mean, he did it the first year KD was there when he was missed the entire season with an Achilles injury. Kyrie is there in by himself. Kyrie is a menace on his own.
True.
That's never been a doubt. It's going to be interesting to see how it impacts guys like Nico Claxton. Is Durant absence going to hurt him, or is it going to help him? Ben Simmons, how involved is he going to get into things? But there's going to be guys who are going to step up. So obviously Kyrie's going to run things, but then outside of that, it'll be T.J. Warren is quite capable. Royce O'Neal is quite capable. So if you get a little something from these guys, Joe Harris, Cam Thomas, you haven't really seen a lot of Cam Thomas, but if he comes off the bench and they got guys who can weather the storm until he gets back. Fortunately, the Nets don't really have a packed schedule over the next couple weeks, so they had a big break between Miami. They played Miami on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
They go against Boston tomorrow on Thursday, and then they're not back again until Sunday. So they're only playing 3 games in a 7-day span, which isn't too bad.
Right.
After Sunday's matchup so they got Boston, then OKC. After OKC, they are going to they're doing a little road trip. So they got a 5-game road trip. So they're going to go to San Antonio. If guys want to get a night off for San Antonio, that's it's probably advised, and then they go to Phoenix the day after. So there's probably a good chance like Kyrie may get a night off,
Right.
maybe around Phoenix, not San Antonio. They might give him the night off at San Antonio. So I mean they have they don't have a lot of games this week, so that's going to buy them some time. They're probably going to lose more than they did, but it is what it is. But considering the amount of minutes that Durant has been playing this season, this was inevitable. We knew this was going to happen. There's been times when he's been down on the floor or on the court, and he looked like it was a bad injury, and he avoided it. So for this to happen, but honestly, the fact that he was able to like keep playing
Mm-hmm.
despite this happening to him multiple times in one game where he dinged up his knee and still played through it. It's not as severe, but they'll be cautious. If the Nets keep winning, they'll probably hold him out longer. So I think it's very likely that the couple weeks turns into 3 weeks, 4 weeks. Valentine's Day type of thing.
I got you. Yeah, I figured when they said reevaluated in 2 weeks that they meant like he'll be out for 4 weeks. I didn't think it was gonna have to be like 6 weeks or anything like that, like the other time that he sprained his MCL or anything. But I feel like every time they say like, oh, he'll be reevaluated in 1 to 2 weeks or whatever, it always means that they're actually out for like 1 or 2 more weeks after they're reevaluated.
Oh yeah, I do. I did think that you meant that he's coming right back after 2 weeks.
Yeah,
There's a chance he could be, but I highly doubt it.
right. Um,
Somebody
someone
robbing a
needs.
car out there?
I was about to say someone needs to turn their car alarm off. But
Don't they know we got a podcast going on?
I know, right? People are so
Fuckers.
inconsiderate around here. Just yell out the window. We got a podcast here.
Hey, shut up! Well, you have the car alarm, and then like a couple of weeks ago, I had that possessed cat that was just screaming like a motherfucker.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Then we had one day the air raid siren. I thought North Korea was finally dropping on us.
Yep. And then there was the one week when Mike looked like he was getting haunted.
Right.
His light was just turning off and
Flickering. Yeah.
But yeah, so to me, the Nets, while they still have a good bit of talent, obviously, especially with like Kyrie and everybody like that, they are a lot less scary without KD. If they didn't have Kyrie, I would be like, all right, like Nets are still really fucking good. If they didn't have Ben Simmons, all right, Nets are still really fucking good. But without KD, then I'm like, the Nets are all right. Like, KD is definitely the most important on the team.
I agree, but then again, I have that much confidence in Kyrie Irving, who to me I still think is a borderline top 5 player, maybe top 10 player. Like he's a great player. It's just a pain in the ass. He's certainly more than capable of just doing a lot. He's been a little shooting funk lately, which he'll get out of that, but he's never been like a great 3-point shooter. But the Nets are going to be fine. And unlike last season when the Nets didn't have like really anybody that they can turn to, this year's version has a lot of guys that I talked about, before. Utah is playing well. They got Joe Harris, they got Seth Curry, they got Ben Simmons, they got Cam Thomas. Like you can get a little bit of here and there from TJ Warren. Like all these guys are just their roster is very deep. So they'll be fine. I think they'll be fine.
I think for the most part they'll be fine too. I feel like, say KD misses, I don't know, 10 games or 12 games. I could see them going either like 500 or like a game or two over 500. Like I don't see them just tanking and going like 3-7 over the next 10 or anything like that.
Well, they have Boston coming up. That'll be tough. But you know something, Boston. It depends what Boston team shows up. They've played a lot of these weird games this year where they've lost games that they shouldn't have lost. So
I was about to say lost to Orlando, and then wasn't it Boston who gave up like 150 points to OKC?
Yep, they lost to OKC, 152 points, I think. And Boston's supposed to be like this great defensive team.
Right.
But I mean, OKC is good offensively, but they got to play Boston, so that'll be a toss-up. Then they're going to play OKC and the Spurs. So theoretically, they should even without KD, they should win those 2 games.
Oh yeah.
Then they play Phoenix, which Phoenix won't have Devin Booker. Who knows if they're going to have Ayton? Who knows if they're going to have Chris Paul? So they're banged up too. They're already down Cam Johnson. Jay Crowder doesn't want anything to do with them. So you're literally looking at a Phoenix team that is like playing like Landry Shamet and Dwayne Washington and Jock Landale and Dario Saric and like these types of guys, which they aren't bad players, but you're not going to beat the Nets even without KD. So, well, they shouldn't at least.
Right.
Then they're going to Utah, which not Watanabe. I mean the team, like they're playing Utah, the Jazz. Who they're not as sexy as they were at the beginning of the year. And then Golden State, then Philly, then Detroit. So they have a favorable schedule
True.
to where
And
they
yeah,
could still come out of that relatively unscathed.
yeah. No, I agree. Muhammad asks, who's going to win, the Phoenix Suns or the Warriors? Do they play tonight?
There's like 10 games tonight. I think so, yeah. But I take the Warriors because Steph's coming back.
Yeah. Yeah, with Steph coming back, oh, I definitely would take the Warriors.
Yeah, because the Suns are
Definitely.
banged up. I don't think Chris Paul is playing tonight.
Devin Booker, we already know, is out. Cam Johnson's out. Oh, yeah, Chris Paul's out and Aiton's out.
Right.
So,
Yeah. Warriors.
yeah, definitely Warriors. um, but yeah, the schedule is pretty favorable, and on top of that, like I mean, Kyrie is still going to give them a fighter's chance at beating a lot of different teams, whether it's a bad team or like a mid-level team or whatever. So, yeah, I agree that the Nets aren't going to be like, going in a downward spiral at any time soon just because of this injury from Durant. Now, if say this injury does extend longer than they expect, like longer than a month, that's when I could see, some issues start to arise, especially because you never know what type of Ben Simmons you're going to get. That stretch where Kyrie was out because he was suspended, Ben Simmons had some really good games in there. And they didn't amount to wins a lot of the time. But then, Kyrie comes back. Ben Simmons has some god awful games. And they eke out some wins because they have Kevin Durant and Kyrie both still there. Now, without your number one scoring option, Kyrie, who still can light up the scoreboard at any given moment, but all of those other guys you named, while it is a good bit of depth, you have to figure out which one of those guys is actually going to be the contributor that night. Because I feel like it's going to be like flip a coin, and one of the six people might have a good night, and the others are gonna like try and throw up whatever they can, but it's not going to always go that well.
Yeah, but that's been working for the Nets though for KD and Kyrie have been playing, but then you would get like a couple weeks ago, TJ Warren had a huge game, and then you get Nico, and then you get one game where you get Utah's hot. So you have guys who are more than hello. You have more than they'll be fine, especially with the schedule coming up. They're good.
Right. No, yeah, I'm just saying, like, now two of those guys are going to have to step up because Durant's not there. So it can't just be one person now for each of those games having to step up
They're
to
moving
win
the
the game.
ball around and everything well, and things like that. So they're going to be fine.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, like I said, I still agree that in the end they'll be all right. But I just think if his injury does extend to longer than it should, that's when I think the issues will start happening. But all in all, I think they'll be okay.
Yeah, they'll be fine.
Yeah. So moving
Kevin
on.
Durant could enjoy his alone time trying to pad the statistics of the hub during
Right.
his absence.
Exactly. Sticking with Kevin Durant real quick, he had an interview with Nick Friedel. I think that's how you say his last name.
I think it's Friedel.
Is it Friedel?
Is it
Okay.
Frei or IE?
Iedell.
Yeah, I think that's Friedel.
Okay. So Kevin Durant talked about how fans have become more entitled than anything. He said, so they're starting to question our motives for the game or how we approach the game. And the ones that do question, like, who are you? Just shut up and watch the game tonight. And so there was a couple questions in here that I thought were interesting. Like, Friedel asked, make it so that there's more intensity during regular season games, or feel free to disagree with me if you don't think that's an issue. And KD said he didn't think it's an issue at all. He thinks the game is in a good place. People have learned how to consume things a little different. They might not appreciate a basketball game as much as they used to back in the days. The more something's around, the more people take it for granted. We're a huge corporation. We move a lot of things on this earth as NBA players, as a league. So at this point, people are just nitpicking because the numbers show the popularity, all of these ratings, analytics, how popular the NBA is, because people are intrigued in watching all aspects of the NBA. Regular season, summer league, free agency, trade deadlines, draft. They're all, it seems like from the chatter and the popularity of the league, that everybody loves us. So I don't see where a problem is. Now, this particular quote I agree with, because now we still hear a lot of people saying like the intensity of the game and stuff isn't what it used to be. People aren't punching people in the lane and playing defense with hand checks and stuff like that anymore. But I never heard people give a fuck about Summer League until like probably I would say 5-6 years ago is when it started getting like popular. Like when Steph Curry and all those guys were playing in Summer League, I don't remember hearing a peep about it. There might have been like a highlight clip here and there, but this day and age, people make Summer League out to be like a huge like championship event, especially when it's like the championship of Summer League and everything. Like people get hyped for that kind of stuff. And so I tend to agree with this.
And they give rings to the Summer League people.
That too. And they actually like it's broadcasted. Like all of these Summer League games are broadcasted now on ESPN or ESPN2 or whatever it may be. Whereas before you would have to like find some illegal stream of a guy with a camcorder sitting in the third row like it's an illegal movie.
Right. It's in Chinese or Chinese subtitles.
Exactly. And you hear like people coughing in the background because like they're just filming the movie.
Hear me snoring in the background. Which there's nothing better than a movie theater nap. I'll tell you that right now.
Oh, complete. Especially the ones with the recliners now.
Yeah, we went and saw the Whitney Houston movie.
Was that good?
Yeah, I mean, she's the best. Nobody better than Whitney Houston. But I would say that movie's like about 2.5 hours long. And I'm sitting there crushing like I got a big thing of popcorn for my wife and I. She got some, but I mean, I took care of most of it. And then, my lips are chapped afterwards because I'm crushing so much popcorn. But yeah, then you're just sitting there falling asleep. And that's the best place to do it.
Oh, 100%. The lighting, the fact that like, especially nowadays, there's really not that many people in the theater.
No.
Compared to what it used to be.
I don't know where people went. Like, where did everybody go?
They're just watching from home now. Especially because nowadays, it's like the movie goes from the theater for like a few months to a streaming service. So like a lot of people are just like, well, if it's going to a streaming service, I'll just wait those few months and just watch it at home.
Right. And I don't
blame anybody.
Like, I like to go to the movies.
I agree. The experience of the movie theater is still unmatched unless you're rich enough to have your own home theater.
and honestly, I don't even think that would be the same.
Agreed, because you're not like going out anywhere to go see the movie.
It's just something different. I just like the movies. But anywho, what were you talking about? Oh, Kevin Durant.
So he's essentially just saying like he doesn't agree that the game right now needs more intensity. He thinks the game is good in and of itself because you see all these people now excited and everything for like Summer League and the draft and everything, whereas before they weren't.
Well, he's right in some regard because everybody now, fans have always been critical It's just before when you were critical in your living room with 4 other people watching the game. Now you're critical because you can just jump on a cell phone and just post your views and things like that. Honestly, that's what is, social media and that type of stuff is good in some ways, but in other ways you have to hear nonsense, fake things, and the dumbest people on the planet expressing their views or trying to convince something that's not even true. So honestly, I think the world in general, people realized how dumb other people were based on social media because these people are idiots.
Agreed.
So, everybody's an expert, right? Everybody could tell you, I could tell you how to make a pizza. Doesn't mean I'm an expert at making one, but I could sit there and criticize it once it comes out of the oven and tell you what's wrong with it. I mean, I guess that's my right. If I'm investing my time or my money in the product, I have the right to critique it. I'm not going to just sit there and shut up.
Right.
On the same token of that, though, he is right, though, that some people just shut up. Like, just because you can do something doesn't mean you should do something.
Mm-hmm.
And there are some morons out there, and it's just it takes a fun out of everything. But the NBA has done enough stuff to, like, they've been more relaxed with the fouling calls. The summer league is a huge thing. The ratings for the finals, they're going up, but they're still not at the levels they were pre-COVID.
Right.
So, I mean, that's something to be concerned about. But they're still good ratings. But the NBA is not as popular. I think the NBA started to go downhill once the kneeling stuff started, the COVID stuff started, all that type of stuff. I think you turned off a lot of your guys who would just turn it on just to do it. But then once people turn it off, you have to find ways to bring back viewers.
Mm-hmm.
But it's good we've had an uptick in scoring. There's guys been scoring 50-point games and things like that. So I don't know. He's right. I'd agree with him about 90% of the time.
Yeah.
Or 90% of what he said.
Right. And so, like, the next part of that question, too, Friedel asked him, do you think there's a perception issue in the regular season games that don't get the extra spotlight, that the average fan wonders just how hard somebody is playing in an average regular season game? And this is where Durant said fans have become more entitled than anything. They're starting to question their motives for the game, how we approach the game and everything. And he's like, we go as hard as our bodies allow us to go at this point. They only see us when the game comes on, but the travel, the practices, the shoot-arounds, we're constantly moving around. So every game's not going to be a high-intensity playoff game. It's going to be times where, as a fan, you're going to have to watch and see, like, oh, these guys travel. This is the last game of a road trip, or this is the second game of a back-to-back, or, they might have to, dig deep in this game compared to that game. Or it might be sloppy because they just played, a double overtime game the night before and have to play another game tonight. And he's essentially saying, like, so if fans just stop taking us for granted, for one, stop putting too much pressure on each individual regular season game to live up to the standards, but then everybody appreciate what they bring to the table. There's 7 or 8 games on a given night every day. You rarely get a day off as a fan from the NBA. So learn to appreciate the grind that we go through and stop just looking at the money and expecting us to just perform for you and perform from the standards. Those high expectations that you put on each one of us as individuals. And then the dialogue around the game wouldn't be like tense. He said it's essentially too narrative driven because NBA fans and sports fans in general are consuming so much content, consuming so many games, clips, expert opinions, and everything, that now sports is so far narrative driven that it's not only about the sport anymore.
Well,
which I would agree.
100%. When you talk about a game, like ESPN or whatever will try to find any backstory to just push into the ground, like the Harbaugh brothers when they were meeting in the Super Bowl, the Ravens and the Niners. Like nobody even talked about the game. All they wanted to do was just talk about some type of story or anything like that. So it is a narrative. On the flip side, though, when he says we're not playing for you, then who are you playing for?
True.
Are you going to play at the? It's because of the fans who. I mean, yeah, you're playing at a high level, but if there are no fans, you're not going to be you're not going to sign a $200 million contract. I'll tell you that right now.
Right.
If you, so let's have a little gratitude toward the fans. And when NBA players talk about entitlement, the NBA players of today are probably the most entitled group of athletes in any sport, probably. They're not, they're very pampered. They're very, they fly privately. They have access to all these health, to these physicians and surgeons, and they have plenty of access to things that people will never dream of.
Right.
So when people play, you might get to go to one game a year if you're like a normal family. You might have to save up to go to a game. And when you go to a game and you find out your favorite player is not playing because he wants the night off, give me a break.
I know that's the like the big, I guess, catch-22 that is always in this argument either way is players need the fans, fans need the players. They need each other because without the fans, there's nowhere near as much money as there currently is in the NBA because they're the ones buying all the tickets, buying all the merchandise, doing all that kind of stuff to even fuel the contracts that they're getting. And the fans need the top level players because if they're just coming to see, the old tanking Sixers versus the old tanking Nets, it's not going to be as fun because you're not seeing guys like Kevin Durant, Joel Embiid, Kyrie Irving, and things like that. So, it goes both ways, and it needs to be like a happy medium. And I think I do agree with him in terms of a lot of fans out there need to be grateful that they're seeing top level basketball every single day. There's a game on every day. Whether it's your favorite team or not, there is a game on every single day, and there's at least one player on each team that's like a top level player in the league that is fun to watch. And like you and I talk about it, we'll go watch like Orlando versus Detroit because there's like some guys on there that you and I like to watch, or Orlando versus like the Thunder because Gilgeous Alexander versus Banchero is really good TV.
I prefer those games.
Exactly. So
because you get the same stuff on ESPN. It's always the Warriors, the Lakers, like the Suns, the Bucks, like the Celtics. You get the same teams all the time, and to have an opportunity. There's times where I actually prefer load management, like the fact that the Suns are going to be without Chris Paul, Devin Booker, and DeAndre Ayton, and Dario Saric is going to play, and Jack Londale and Damian Lee and maybe Josh Okogie and all these players that are just they're good players. I mean, in order to make the NBA, you have to be a good player.
right.
You have to be an excellent player. Even if you get a 10-day contract in the NBA, or you get a training camp deal, you're still a great player.
Mm-hmm.
They just don't hand those out to anybody. But the fact is, you get to see these play. But those are guys like you and I, where we want to see that type of stuff.
Right.
A little kid who wants to go to a Nets game, they want to see Kevin Durant. And when you get the night off because you just you're tired. Dude, there are guys working in a factory throwing boxes on the back of a truck 5 days a week, 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, 12 hours a day just throwing pallets in the back of a truck, and they do it. You telling me you maybe decrease minutes a little bit, but get out there.
Right.
You have all off season to do nothing.
Right. And it's like, yeah, at that point, maybe coaches should limit their players to around like 30 to 32 minutes a game. I mean, then play more games, and in turn, maybe you get some more wins because you're playing your superstars more games than the other ones are that are getting all these rest days. Because, like the Raptors, just as an example, I mean, they have like 3 of the top 5 guys in terms of minutes per game and minutes played. Because their rotation, Nick Nurse just plays them guys constantly.
It's like Tibbs.
Exactly. And it's funny because this year Tibbs is actually playing some of the young guys for once. And it's Nick Nurse and even the Miami Heat. Like, they see how hurt their guys are all the time, but the moment they play, they're like 40 minutes a game. And it's like, maybe, game to game limit a little bit so they don't need as many rest days, or they don't need to go out with wear and tear injuries all the time because you're overplaying them all the time. Like, the Miami Heat injury list is a fucking laundry list.
Oh, it's a nightmare.
It's literally looks like my shopping list every week to go to the grocery store. Like, that's how long this fucking list is. And
Well, like they had like guys tonight playing like Orlando Robinson and Oladipo and Jamal Cain and and it's like you have all the Max Struess and Gabe Vincent and you have all these other guys like who just aren't doing shit because they're all on the injury report. So I mean, again, I enjoy that kind of stuff, but you're playing Orlando Robinson. You know what I
right.
mean?
like I love Haywood Highsmith because I got to meet him and interact with him when he was on the Delaware Bluecoats and I was taking photos for the team and everything. Great guy. I mean, awesome work ethic. Love watching him play basketball. He even got a start the other day for Miami because of
He's starting again tonight.
Yeah. And like I developed an appreciation for him because of the interaction I had with him. But kids that, maybe their dad is a Miami Heat fan and the dad's trying to get his kids into the Miami Heat and be a fan with him, you're supposed to just be like, hey, son, like, there's Gabe Vincent. And the son goes up to his friends and like, oh, I watched Gabe Vincent. All of them are like, we watched LeBron. We watched Kevin Durant. We watched, so on and so forth. It's like, it's hard to develop a new fan. Like, are there any new fans of Kawhi Leonard? Because
no,
over the last like 3 seasons, we've barely watched him play. So if you're a new NBA fan, if you just started watching the NBA within the last couple seasons, you wouldn't even know that Kawhi Leonard's one of the best players in the league. You would have no clue.
Right.
And now I'm straying away from kind of what KD's talking about because
that's all right. Fuck it.
But like in a sense, I agree with KD. There are a lot of entitled fans that, they may say like, oh, well, suck it up and play through your injuries, even though some guys, really can't. They are pretty damn hurt because they've been playing 40 minutes a game. Like Jimmy Butler played 40 minutes a game for years. And now he can't stay healthy worth anything, probably because he put all those minutes on his legs.
But when you got Kawhi, though, Kawhi got hurt the season before last in the postseason. So he was out all last year.
Mm-hmm.
And he came back and then immediately started missing time because his knee didn't feel right.
Right.
Come on. What do you mean your knee doesn't feel right? You know what I mean? Like, and just for the record, the Heat's injury list tonight, The following are out: Adebayo, Hero, Jovish, Lowry, Caleb Martin, Duncan Robinson, and Yurt Seven. Some of those guys aren't a surprise. Like Yurt Seven's been out, Robinson's been out. Um, Tyler Hero, he's just had a new injury. He went down. He hurt his knee, but they ruled him. He went down the other night and he injured his knee, but they're ruling him out with an Achilles. So that it's the Heat's been that way all season. But the Phoenix injury report: Torrey Craig, game time; Landry Shamet, game time decision, and then the following are out. So Aiton, Booker, Crowder, Cam Johnson, Chris Paul, campaign. That's a huge chunk of their lineup out.
Oh
So
yeah. And it's just like the funny thing to me is looking through all the injury reports too. You can tell the bullshit injuries from the actual
yeah,
injuries.
knee soreness,
Yeah, knee soreness, ankle soreness, or injury management. Like,
contusion.
what the fuck does injury management mean? Like,
It
what?
means there's. It's a sexy way of saying he's sitting.
Yeah, exactly. It just like just write that he's resting at this point
Right.
with the and that's the thing too that kills me is like the NBA won't let people just say rest because they won't let them take a rest day, but they'll just put a bullshit injury to technically take a rest day, and the NBA is like, that's fine. He has injury management. They gotta
Right.
ice his knee because he can't play this game. Like,
Yeah.
either just let them say rest or don't let them do that. Like, just do one or the other. Don't bullshit people.
Well, and then they list something. He's got a thigh contusion. So he's got a bruise on his thigh.
Exactly.
He's not playing because of a bruise, but you call it a contusion because it makes it sound more official.
Oh yeah, they try and use
Abrasion. He's got
yeah
a left eye abrasion.
yeah
He
like
cut his eye.
who was it? I think it was R.J. Barrett. They said like right finger laceration. I'm like, laceration usually means he just cut his finger.
Ray cut his finger.
Like, and you can't play. He's been out for like 2 weeks.
Right.
And it's funny because I was just talking about this with Deanna because obviously being a PA, she knows all of these terms that, the layman person, the casual fan, doesn't exactly know every type of word like contusion and all that kind of stuff. Like they think contusion and they think like, oh, it must be more serious because they're not saying bruise, they're saying contusion. And Deanna's just like, a lot of this stuff is like bullshit things that people will come into like urgent care for and then go back to work.
Right. I mean, especially you got hockey players. I mean, guys literally get their hands stepped on by a skate, cut an artery, and they tape it up and they're back out on the ice.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
and that's the thing is, sure, fans. There are some fans that have become. I would say like 30% of fans have become entitled and like demand shit from players that like don't really need to be demanded, or they, or it's the ones on social media that just talk a bunch of shit just because they can hide behind a computer screen and all sorts of things. Like the fans that have all this access to NBA games and NBA players just to use it for stupid reasons are the entitled ones.
But they're not even constructive. You can't even have a conversation. Everything turns into insults.
Exactly.
It's like you go
Exactly.
on Reddit and it turns into a fucking, a fiasco. Whenever you say something, you got 10 people just ganging up on you, calling you a moron and a dumb fuck and all this stuff. And you're like, hey, listen, I just said that you know, I like this player or that player or whatever. So it's like, yeah.
Yeah. And
Just
that
Reddit's only good for one reason, and it ain't in an NBA chat room. I can tell you that.
true. But that's also the thing is like on Twitter, on Facebook, on Reddit, whatever, you can't even get into like an actual debate about anything, let alone basketball. You can't even say like, I prefer pepperoni to cheese pizza, because then people don't even say like, why they like something or why something is better or why this or use stats for that. It's like, oh no, that's an L take, like ratio, blah blah blah. Like that's it. That's all. That's the comeback for everything. And it's just like, what's the fucking point of this? Like,
You know when you see people agree is on Instagram. You get these chicks with the fat asses, and every guy will be like, "Great ass, great ass, great ass." A tongue emoji, so you get agreement in some places.
that's
It's
true.
just a very select few.
That's true. I mean, you get agreement in that, and then you get agreement when like big life things happen on like Facebook or LinkedIn. They're like, "Oh, congrats on the new job," or like, "Congrats on having a kid." But outside of that, it's like,
Yeah, but people don't even post that. People can have a kid and they'd rather talk about how the vaccine causes you to turn into a fucking zombie.
true.
You know what I mean?
Oh, that the amount of people that tried to blame the whole Damar Hamlin thing on the vaccine.
Disgusting. You want to know something though? Maybe it was. I don't fucking know. Probably not, but you never know. But in any event, like, why use that situation to advance a narrative that isn't even confirmed? It's just speculation.
Exactly.
Now, if in 20 years they come out and say, "Oh, sorry, everybody got the vaccine, you're going to die tomorrow," like, okay, then. But that's the dangers of social media. Plus, that post was probably coming from some fucking hillbilly with 3 teeth living in some beat up trailer talking about, you know what I mean? So,
Oh, 1000%. It's ridiculous. But anyway, yeah, all in all, there's a lot of things to agree with KD about. But there's also some things that are just like, it's a little much. So let's move on to
banging their cousins and stuff.
cooking up meth and everything.
Yeah, they can't graduate high school, but they can figure out how to be a chemist and make meth.
Yeah, I know, right? Like, what? How? Like, I watched a good bit of Breaking Bad, okay?
Oh yeah.
And I still didn't leave that with, like, I have a roundabout idea of how to cook meth.
No, if anything, it made me more confused.
Exactly. Like, the only thing I could say is, like, all right, don't wear, like, nice clothes around it because you get the clothes messed up. And then don't, have a controlled environment or else it'll explode. Those are the two things that I left with about cooking meth. But, like, these guys with no teeth that have never read a book, don't know how to write anything, and probably barely even know how to speak, can cook it. I don't understand. I don't get
And they do a good job, apparently.
it. I mean, not just like cooking meth and stuff, but like there's also like Floyd Mayweather. The guy can't even read. But he has
meth?
he has hundreds of millions of dollars. I mean,
he cooks meth.
He has the same kind of money as a meth.
Oh, I thought you meant he's cooking meth. I'm like, he's cooking meth.
I mean, he might be. We just don't know it. I don't know.
I don't know. Meth is just. I don't know.
I agree.
If I were going to be on a drug, meth would be the last thing I would want.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. So All-Star voting. Muhammad here says he's voting for Steph, Clay, Dre, LeBron, and you need one more on there, Muhammad. Who's your fifth? I had a feeling you would be voting for Steph, Clay, and Dre, seeing as your.
I thought he was talking about. I thought he was going to bring something up about meth.
Yeah, his lineup for the All-Star is Steph, Clay, Dre, LeBron, and meth.
Right, Walter White.
Exactly.
Well, who do you got, Muhammad? You only listed 4.
I know. We need your fifth. Who's your fifth? Don't you say Kevon Looney. Don't do it, Muhammad. Give me a realistic 5.
Apparently, the fans want Kevon Looney in there, which is crazy.
I know. There's a lot of people so far that should be on there that are not, and it's making me question a lot of the damn fans who I'm saying all these fans are the entitled ones that KD was talking about.
Well, these are also the people who are just fucking dumb as fuck.
Well, that too. Back to the meth heads.
Yeah.
So here's the returns, the first round of All-Star returns.
Can you make that a little bigger?
Yep. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Can you see
Yeah,
that?
yeah. Thank you.
So here's the front
I
court
can't
right
see
now.
anything. I'm fucking old.
I got you. Um, so in the West, as of right now, the starters would be LeBron, Jokic, Anthony Davis, and in the East, the starters would be KD, Giannis, Embiid. Um, I mean, not really many surprises there. At least for the top three of each side, like you could make your argument for Jason Tatum being up there in the top three. You could make your argument in the West. You could make your argument for Zion being in the top three before he got hurt. He was having a great season. Markkanen has been having a tremendous season. He should definitely be above Paul George and Andrew Wiggins by far. Utah needs some more fan votes in there. It looks like Muhammad gave us another one. Oh, he said Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. You didn't give us your fifth for the West, though. You gotta give us your Western fifth. You gave us 4 for the West, Muhammad. We need one more.
So
And
he
that's
gave
2
us.
for the East. What are you gonna say?
He gave us 4 from the West and 2. So, anyways, I think the top players in each conference are pretty spot on. To be honest with you, I would
Yeah.
probably put Jokic over LeBron. I would put LeBron at number 2. Yes, I would put Anthony Davis at 3, and I don't even mind Zion being at 4. I do have a problem with Wiggins being at 5 because he's been out for so long. He's been hurt.
Right.
I have a problem with Paul George. Not that I don't think he belongs in the top 10. I just don't think he should have that many votes. I think I 110% agree that Markkanen should be probably 5 on that list. I would throw Kawhi Leonard right off that list. I would throw Draymond Green right off that list. And I actually feel better that Kevon Looney is on that list over Kawhi and Draymond Green. Over in the East, I really have no problem with who's on that list. Jared Allen's been playing well. Nico Claxton's been playing well. Banchero's going to be Rookie of the Year. Even Kyle Kuzma's been playing well. And so Siakam's a nightmare. Jimmy But like that entire list, like, okay, you can convince me that's a good list. The Western Conference, so people who live in the West, you got to get your shit together because that list sucks.
Agreed. I mean, in the West, like, I feel like there's a few bigger names definitely missing from that list that I'm not thinking of off of the top of my head. But it's
But I'm
just
surprised, though, in the East at least, I'm surprised, like, Julius Randle, he's not in the top 10. Like,
right.
at least, no Port. Like, where's Porzingis?
That's true, too. Porzingis has been having a great year.
Yeah, like, where's Porzingis? Like, Porzingis, to me, has had a better season than Jimmy Butler.
Well, also okay, Jaylen Brown's considered a guard. I was going to say, I didn't know if they were having him considered a guard or in the front court. If he was missing, that would have been really bad.
In the West, where's Sabonis?
That's who I was trying to think of. Like, Sabonis should be top 5.
So you're telling me that Andrew Wiggins and Kawhi Leonard and Draymond Green have had a better season than Sabonis? I don't
Not
think
at
so.
all.
Zero.
Not at all. Right now, Sabonis is averaging 18 points, 12 rebounds, almost 7 assists a game, just a shade under 1 steal a game, and shooting 61.5% from the floor, 41.3% from 3, and 74.5% from the free throw line. Like,
I honestly would rather see Jeremy Grant in the Western Conference front court than Kawhi, Draymond, uh, and the fact that Paul George is in the front court, like,
true.
is he going to be in the front court? Is he like what is he? So
Because a lot of the time, Paul George and Jaylen Brown were like the same position,
right.
but they have Jaylen Brown in the guards and Paul George in the front court. So I don't really understand that one
Where
much.
and then in the East, like where's Bam Adebayo?
Also a good question. And also, they don't have uh who am I thinking of in the East? I'm looking at the teams real quick. Um I would say even like we talked about Julius Randle, but also I would put up there like I don't know over over Jared Allen. I would probably put like Scotty Barnes has been having a pretty good. I mean, not a great year, but his stats have been up there similar with Jared Allen, just not the defensive player of the year part.
I would definitely. I
Um,
mean, Nico Claxton is playing at a fantastic level. I have no problem with him being in the top 10. I have no problem with that top 10 compared to the Western Conference, but I'm
right,
just
it's definitely
curious
better.
and I'm just curious in the East, like where at least give me Porzingis, and in the West give me you gotta put Sabonis in there.
Oh, Sabonis definitely has to be in there.
The fact
I
that
mean
Andrew Wiggins is in there, who hasn't played in a while, and I love Andrew Wiggins. I think he's a great player, but the fact that he's in there above Sabonis is absolutely crazy.
agreed, and um, like I like the top 10, like you said, with the Eastern Conference, but I think Jimmy Butler shouldn't be top five, um, especially because of his injury history. Like, I would especially put Pascal Siakam above Jimmy Butler. I think Siakam has a legit case, even though the team hasn't had a great record. I think Siakam has more of a legit case as a MVP candidate than Jimmy Butler does.
But I think the Raptors are better than the Heat are.
I mean, you can definitely make that argument
I
too.
mean, they're not both fantastic teams, but I mean,
Yeah,
yeah, I just have the East. I feel like Porzingis, in the West, I think at least Sabonis should be included in there.
agreed. Agree. So looking at the backcourt real quick. So we got the guards. So starters, Steph and Luca, and then Kyrie and Donovan
And
Mitchell.
you want to know something crazy too? Like I would even consider like Bogdanovich.
True, Bojan's been having a really good year. I mean, I don't hate that at all. DeMar DeRozan?
Yeah,
Oh, they have him. They have DeMar DeRozan listed as a guard. Hasn't he been a forward this whole time?
I knew he always played forward. I mean, there was a time where he played shooting guard, but
Yeah, I always thought he was like they've even had him at the four a few times for
but
Chicago.
anyways,
So
I'm looking at that list right now, and I'm getting irritated immediately.
why? Because
Derek,
you see Austin Reeves.
I didn't even get to that part yet. Kyrie being at the top, I absolutely love it. If I would switch though Mitchell and Kyrie, but I have zero issue with Kyrie being in the top two. Um,
Right.
Harden being in the top three, I have a little problem with it. Not that he doesn't belong in the top 10, but
He was
he
hurt for a
missed a
while.
month. And Lamelo Ball, get him the hell out of there. That guy played.
Yeah, he's
He's been
played
back for
what?
2 weeks.
I was about to say he's played what, like a total of like 7 or 8 games.
Right, Derrick Rose, get out of here.
Derrick Rose
Uh,
barely even plays anymore.
yeah. So, like, where is Darius Garland?
They have him at 10th, which like
Oh yeah. Okay. Where's Jalen Brunson?
he's not even on there. And first off, Halliburton should be top three. Halliburton should be above James Harden.
110%. Yeah, Halliburton should be in the top three. You're 110% right.
like Halliburton's leading the league in total assists and assists per game
In the
by
West,
a wide margin.
you have Austin Reeves out there. In the West, you don't have fucking De'Aaron Fox.
Right?
What is going on?
How is De'Aaron Fox not even in the top 10? But there's two separate Warriors players. No, sorry, three. Clay has not been having that great of a year. Jordan Poole, he's been playing well, but not better than De'Aaron Fox. Steph Curry, when he was healthy, don't get me wrong, Stephen Curry, I mean, he was putting up like 50-point games, 40-point games, everything. But those two, Russell Westbrook, not playing better than De'Aaron Fox. Devin Booker has been hurt for a good bit now. Austin Reeves, hell no. Like, you should not be on this list at all. The only reason Austin Reeves is on this list is because he's goofy and he's white. That's it. It's the only reason.
Right. They're racist.
Exactly.
So, like, where's Tyler Hero in the East? You could make a case to put Tyler Hero in there.
True.
You could make a case to put it in the Anthony Simons.
DeJounte Murray.
The list goes on. It's absolutely, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. This list, they should just not even count this list. This list is garbage.
Agreed. And I mean, like, I agree with the top 4 for the West. I would put those 4 in the top 4. I mean, maybe I would definitely put Luka first because let's be honest here, Luka, he's the front runner for MVP. Ridiculous games. I mean, 60 or whatever that triple double he had was, just insane numbers.
Yeah, I think Lucas should be 1, and I would even put Shea at 2.
I would too. He's been having a great year.
And Damian Lillard, like, I love him, but he missed a lot of time this year. There's not a bigger Russell Westbrook guy than me, and the fact that he's on this list, I actually like it just because if there's any going to be on this list, that I'm happy. If there's going to be a person on this list that doesn't deserve it, but I'm still happy about it anyways, it's Russell Westbrook.
Right. But even, like, I don't know. Like, over Derrick Rose, LaMelo Ball, those guys, like, Tyrese Maxey even deserves to be over them.
Yeah, but at least you could say he's been hurt.
No, it's true, but even when he's hurt, I think he still has more total points, assists, and everything than those two.
Yeah, these lists are stupid.
Agreed. We all know it's a popularity contest. I guess I just like to think that fans would understand, like, which players really deserve to be there. But obviously, every time I look at the list, they don't understand who deserves to be there.
Doesn't this count for like 50%?
It accounts for a big percentage.
Yeah, who the hell knows? It's trash.
And you know who's also not on there that usually is every year when he was on Utah? Rudy Gobert. He wasn't on any of these lists.
Well, I mean, come on.
I know. I'm just saying, like, he's usually been up there.
You think the Jazz have no fans? I mean, what team do you think has more fans, Utah or Minnesota? I think both of them don't have any fans.
I agree.
I've met one person in my life who said, I like the Timberwolves. Other than that, I couldn't name one person who likes the Timberwolves.
Because even Karl Anthony Towns, with some of his seasons, didn't get voted as a starter, which is crazy because he's had some really good seasons.
I'm surprised Cat's not in there.
Oh, I think everyone's like forgot about him because he's been hurt for so long.
And honestly, I would rather see D'Angelo Russell.
Anthony Edwards isn't in there either.
It's Minnesota. It's
Yeah.
cold. It's dark. It's depressing. It's just
Agreed. And I mean, I'm just looking at like some of the other names that I didn't see on there, and it's like there's a few on here that like you maybe could make a case for. Like Miles Turner has played well. they're like Zubats has played well, but like none of those guys I would be like, oh, he needs to be on the list or anything like that. Simons, like you said, I agree, he should be on there. Desmond Bain, if he stayed healthy, I think should have definitely been on there as well. But again, he missed a good chunk of time as well. Um, and I mean, outside of them, there really isn't like that many other people that I'm like up in arms about. You could make a case for CJ McCollum though. CJ McCollum's not on there.
Yeah, I was going to say him too, and he's so it
Yeah.
is what it is.
Yep. So we have two quick things here, especially because I'm gonna have to get off of here soon. Um, One of them is we'll stick with the Warriors because we were talking about them for a little bit here. Joe Lacob was asked, for those who don't know, the GM was asked like essentially about the OG original three, like big three, the Clay, Dre, and Steph. Um, and he brought up a quote from, I think he said it was Bill Walton, that said it's better to trade a guy one season too early than it is to trade them one season too late. And he said we're not thinking about that right now, but it's just a good quote to live by. Now, you don't bring that up if you're not thinking about it at all. Like, there was no reason to bring that up.
Well, Draymond would be the first to go.
Agree.
And
That's what I was going to say, too.
the writing's kind of on the wall since he knocked Jordan Poole's punch into the face.
Oh, yeah.
So Draymond Green's time in Golden State is over. It'll be harder to part ways with Clay and Steph. So if anybody's going to go, it's Draymond Green. But if you want to talk about it's better to trade 1 year too early than 1 year too late, well, you're about 4 years too late because he hasn't been good in probably 4 years. So
True.
yeah,
I will say, though, they probably don't want to make a trade with Phoenix because that's the same division. But Dre for Crowder? I mean,
yeah, the money's not even there though.
no, the money's not even. I mean, you have to throw in some fillers and shit like that. But like Phoenix, Phoenix could use Draymond as another distributor on the court. That's for sure, especially if Chris Paul is going to be hurt.
But they already have enough old fucks on there. They don't need another one.
True. But for Golden State, Jay Crowder, who's been just, on ice, he's been healthy. He's just waiting to play. He would be a good addition to that team.
Draymond Green would be good in like LA, either the LA teams,
True.
Miami.
Miami's got enough old fucks, too.
Yeah, but they like their old fucks. So
That's. Miami's a great place to retire to.
right. So you have 40. Haslam's about 880 now. I think he broke his hip the other day.
Oh God.
Yeah, so Draymond would be the first to go, but the ship has sailed. You're not going to get anything out of him. So
the order of people they should trade from first to last is Dre,
Clay, and Steph.
Like
Steph ain't going anywhere.
Nah. Steph has shown, like, yes, he got hurt, but he's shown, he's averaging 30 points a game still.
Right.
Clay's
He's
not
still
doing
playing
that.
at
Dre's
like a
not
high
doing
level.
that.
Well, Clay's been playing okay, a little bit
True.
better, but nothing.
He's been stepping it up a little.
Just a little bit.
But they need more at this point. Like Jordan Poole's been decent. Some of their younger guys, they've been decent, but they don't have anybody at the level that like they were when they won the championship. Like these guys, Steph is, but the rest of them just aren't matching that level anymore. And Wiggins has been hurt, so
It's amazing to me though that people like even as Steph is older, people are like, well, yeah, all he does is shoot. That's not true. Like the amount of movement that guy does, just wiggling in and out, I just love it. And he still does it.
they showed on like one of those sports science things that he runs like miles and miles and miles during a game just to go off of like 3 screens before he gets the ball and then makes another move when he has the ball.
Right.
But he's going off 3-4 screens before he even gets the ball.
Right. It's amazing.
Yeah. So yeah, I that's what I was going to ask is who should be traded first, and we both completely agree on that. So the last thing, Popovich was sarcastically said that there should be a 4 or a 5-point shot.
No, stop it.
He said because there's really no defense anyway, so what's the difference?
I don't even want to talk about this. It's stupid.
If there was a 4 or 5-point shot, everyone would be trying to shoot it again. The analytics would be like, you either take the 5-point shot or a layup. You don't take anything else in between.
Yeah,
and then the game would go to a shit show.
Yeah, no. Sorry, Pop.
I agree. I agree with the sarcastic part of it.
He only said that, though, because he's getting older. He's getting a little...
I think he just says shit just to say
dementia's setting in a little bit. You know?
I think at this point he's like, you know what? Today I'm going to say some crazy shit just to rile up the internet.
It's like after he said that, his nurse at the retirement home should have fucking grabbed him and put him back to bed. Come on, Pop. You're tired, honey.
Come on, before you go coach all the little kids again.
Yeah, come on, Pop.
I mean, all of the guys he coaches could be like his grandchildren.
The nurse who's not a fan of basketball, she goes, yeah, this guy's crazy. He's just sitting there. Next thing he's telling me is he coached Tim Duncan. You believe that? This guy's out of his mind.
This guy's nuts. Oh, God.
He's like, I told you I coached the Admiral. Somebody sedate him. He's out of his mind.
He's thinking he's coaching military people now. What the hell?
Yeah, he's crazy.
He said he coached Kawhi. Kawhi doesn't even play.
So, no, it's a stupid idea.
No, yeah, I agree. That should never happen. Do you have any fantasy stuff today? Or
no, I really don't.
I got you.
Next week, I will bring... I've been so consumed with football.
No, I hear you. Football's been a lot. I mean, at least now we have the playoffs. It's me versus you again. Second week in a row.
In
You're
NBA?
a Bengals fan, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you and I are playing in our fantasy league.
Well, yeah, in basketball too, but I expect you to win that.
You should.
I mean, last week you scored like 600 points, and last week was my best week by far, and I just scratched 500.
Well, we'll see how the adjustments I made work out.
True. I'm going to need Donovan Mitchell to have another 100-point fantasy game.
Yeah, we'll see.
But that looks like that's it for us. So thank you, everybody, for watching. Muhammad, thanks for tuning in. The last thing he said was Kevon Mooney. I guess that's your fifth for the West, so we're going to go with that.
I think Kevon Mooney's great.
Me too. Kevon Mooney is a great guy.
Great guy.
But yeah, thank you everybody for watching. If you're watching on YouTube, please drop a like, subscribe below, helps us out. Click the bell for notifications, let you know we're going live. We're going to be back to our normal video schedule as well. There's going to be a bunch of clips per every episode, so if you just want to see the smaller clips, you're going to see those as well. We'll get a bunch of funny videos out there too from our episodes of us talking about random shit like porn categories and names and food. So you'll see plenty of those too.
I'm going to have a special Friday night at 11 on I'm going to break down all the Pornhub categories.
I bet you that would be our most watched episode.
You're fucking... I bet you it would be, to be honest with you.
Everyone would be like, oh, what are the top ones?
Hey.
But we're also everywhere you get your podcast. Spotify, Apple, Google, everything. So make sure you check those out.
JOI is making a... JOI is getting kind of popular.
What is that?
You never heard of that?
No.
It's blank off instructions.
Oh.
I mean, I don't know why I can't say jerk off because I literally cursed.
We've been saying curse words.
I feel like I had this. There's a line I can say fuck, but jerk off I can't say that.
You just gotta say it like a Pittsburghian. You gotta say jag off.
Yeah, jag off instructions.
I didn't know that was a thing, so now I feel old, I guess. I didn't even know that was what the kids are watching these days.
It's not the kids. It's I know a guy who may have dabbled.
Oh, okay. Mike?
Uh, he doesn't
Anyway.
even know. He doesn't even know how to do it.
True. That's it for us, though. Thank you, everybody, for watching.
But it's a girl. She tells you what to do.
I got you. She tells you to watch Orlando versus Detroit.
Right. What I want you to do, honey, is get the Atlantic Files podcast done. Put your pants. Okay. Good night.
All right. Muhammad says bye-bye after that one. I agree, Muhammad.
I wonder what his category of choice is.
We'll ask him next time.
Yeah.
We are the Atlantic Files, the number one podcast on the number one division in the
country,
NBA.
His ankles are hanging,
Brought to you by the
Show me those ankles, baby.
Network. We'll catch you guys next week. Peace.